chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Good evening, Cayman, and welcome to another edition of Sabrina Speaks. It's good to be here with you on this fabulous Wind Down Friday. Good morning to our global family. Yes, it's good to have you with us again. Voices of the Islands, conversations for the world. In here may look a little dark. I was just, there we go. Just like that. And there we go. Let there be light. Voices of the Islands, conversations for the world, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. I'm your host, Sabrina, and it's good to be back with you. What am I doing? I need to get the Facebook family up. Let's just get that link going. And it is a pleasure to be back here with you today. There we go. There we go. Yeah, it is good to be back with you today. And thank God it's a Friday. It's a wind down Fridays. Let me get this up. There we go. Back to reality. The content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, or my participants, is intended solely for general, informational, and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional, legal, or medical, or financial advice. I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaim all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented here. Don't forget to follow, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And welcome to all of my new followers and subscribers. It is a pleasure to have you. And I thank you. I thank you for actually subscribing. Yes, it is Friday, and I love to do this because I think it sets the tone a bit. Yes, it does. Happy Friday. Always remember to be kind. Always look for the good in people. Share a smile, take a walk, and enjoy the little things. How profound. Yes, it is that time. And, as we enter into the weekend, I'm going to be consistent with this because I love the feedback. And I just think we should just run through the weather because there's a lot that's going on around us as we wind down into the weekend and we conclude our Heritage, Pirates Week, culture, festivities, whatever you want to label it with. We're winding that down. But here's the latest weather forecast as we enter into the weekend. The synopsis calls for isolated showers are expected over the Cayman area for the next 24 hours and is dissipating. This dissipating front is moving out of the Caribbean area, the Cayman area. The pressure gradient is expected to weaken, leading to moderate winds and seas across the islands into tomorrow. Now, the forecast for today is for cloudy skies. That's for tonight. Tonight's cloudy spells and 40% chance of showers. And temperatures will rise to the low to mid 80s. Right now, it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Thanks, compliments the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. And tonight calls for cloudy skies, spells of 40% chance, and temperatures will fall to the mid 70s. Winds will decrease northeast 15 to 20 knots, and seas will be moderate to rough with wave heights of 4 to 6 feet. A small craft advisory will be in effect. Now, their low tide was at 12:42 this afternoon, with a high tide that is expected at 6:25 this evening. And tomorrow, a low tide is at 12:56 a.m. and a high tide for 7:25 a.m. Sunset is going to, you're going to have a sunset at 5:45 p.m. this evening, and sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:34 in the morning. The outlook is for possible isolated showers lingering into the weekend as the remnant moisture from the frontal boundary lingers across the Northwest Caribbean. So there you have it. That's this weekend's forecast, and you can always log on to the Cayman Islands National Weather Service for even more details, and it'll give you day by day of what's happening as well. Huge birthday shout outs for anyone who's celebrating their birthday today. I know we had lots going on this weekend, and how rude of me. Please. I missed on the 12th of November, Miss Nikki Brown. And Nikki Brown, who's a big fan of the show and has appeared here numerous of times, the guru in insurance, she celebrated a birthday on the 12th. And I want to wish her happy birthday to you. Happy belated birthday to you. I hope you had a blast. Definitely. But wishing you all the best. Lots of love here from all your friends and family on Sabrina Speaks. That I really felt bad, to be honest. It is what it is. But yeah, it happens. My humble apologies, my sweet. But happy belated birthday. And look who is celebrating 66 years of wedding bliss, Mr. Norman and his wife. Oh my gosh. This is KK Hydes, her parents. Aw, happy anniversary. Yeah, these love bugs. Look at Mr. Norman. Aw, yeah, 66 years of bliss. Congratulations to them. And, I hope you're enjoying the day and making the best out of life and what it is, and you're so blessed to just be able to stick together for that long. Oh my gosh. This generation now of people, it's just, you guys inspire all of us that are married to, whatever it is, whatever ingredients you got to share it. So congratulations, happy anniversary for celebrating your 66th wedding anniversary. Yes, so very happy for you. And hey, I gotta let you all know it is the weekend. Like I said, lots of events are going to be happening in town tomorrow. The Heritage Day festivities winds down this evening in East End. So all roads are leading to East End. Please try to keep it easy on the roads. Try to be careful on the roads this weekend. We have just keep these MVAs down, but it's still happening over there at Cabana tonight and tomorrow night. Join them on the waterfront as they celebrate, as we all celebrate Georgetown Heritage Day, even though that was yesterday. It's still Georgetown is our capital, because they over at Cayman Cabana is going to be having sweet sounds of classic calypso and soca music. And you know how the view looks down there, even if it's cloudy. That's pretty much the view that you're going to get at Cayman Cabana. And they got drink specials from sunset to midnight while soaking up the vibes of Cayman culture. So yes, and don't miss, they do a Sunday brunch because, and lunch as well. Every lunch at Cayman Cabana, they'll be serving up free swanky lemonade. A true Caymanian favorite down there. If you want to know more about what's happening at Cayman Cabana, and go on, follow them on Facebook as well. You want to book reservations for, remember now their farm to table is by reservations on Thursday, every Thursday. And brunch, you can give them a call, 345-936-1345. That's 345-936-1345. $4.45. Right now, there are got these tacos and tequila specials. Yeah, that kicked off from 12. Yes, you can hear what happens on a Friday or any day of the week, pretty much from 12 to 7 p.m. You can enjoy their tacos and tequila specials down there as well. But these are on their menu all the time. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like on a Friday. These are staples that are on their menus all the time, plus so much more. So if you're loving this view, whether or not the skies are overcast, you still get the view. It's spectacular. It's amazing. Head on down to Cayman Cabana tonight into tomorrow. They're celebrating as we wind up this 2025 Pirates Week celebration, District Days. And they're going to be doing this classic calypso and soca music tonight and tomorrow night as well. And enjoy those drink specials and their tantalizing dishes over there. So it's always delicious. No to tell, you may bump into me. Who do we have with us that is actually commenting? Yes, good evening to you, Connie. How are you? Hi, Mitzi. Good evening. How are you? Are you enjoying the Pirates Week festivities? I could talk about that too a little bit. Happy Friday, Annie Ann. How are you? And good evening to you, Marshall. It's always good to have all of you here. And as we wind down this week, now lots of stuff are going on. The Parliament is in session right now because Finance Committee is on. And there's some fees, how government is going to be making their revenue was being discussed. And some fees are going to be increasing, like vehicle licensing fees, how liquor licensing fees as well. Yeah, no, happy hour goes on till I think you can get specials up until 8. That particular menu that Real Michelle that I post is from 12 to 7. But those guys take care of us down there. You just go, just go. What I want you to do is just go support our Caymanian business on the waterfront. And, we know that culture will not be compromised there when it comes to their food that has been consistent. This is unsolicited plug. I support them for a number of reasons, but the staff is very friendly. They're very accommodating, and Luigi really trying to keep our culture alive here, which is why I'm going to speak about that in a little bit. But Real Michelle, happy hour, those tequila and taco specials he has up on his website from 12 until 7, but I'm quite sure that's a happy shift. Yeah. And I tell you, for me, Teresa, Michelle, on a Friday, I usually kick into happy hour mode from noon anyhow. But it just goes till 12 a.m. So I got a whole 12 hour of happy hour. That's life. You do it hard and you do it good. Enjoy getting in trouble. But yeah, but those guys down there are good. So if you go down there, and I know a lot of locals really hang out there, and it's a cool vibe, mature audience. And like I said, the food, you can't beat it. It is really authentic. Yeah. I was just watching the financial session, and yes, we must make the public understand we are accountable. Accountability is not understood. It's shown. Real Michelle, I think I'm not being sarcastic at all, but I think it will put everything into perspective now, even though this is not what Danny was speaking about when they were presenting the white paper that the regulation should actually be presented. But what was presented by the chairman of Finance Committee, who is the Minister of Finance and Education, the Honorable Ralston Anglin, was defining, it was a statement detailing new revenue measures, how they're going to get the new income for 2026 and 2027. And some of the fees for the banks, for insurance, for the DVL, the DMV, the motor vehicle, where you license your car and all that sort of stuff. Like, for example, this is just one for work permits, because that's what popped off. I'm going to digest all of this, and I'm quite sure on the Cold Hard Truth, they will actually dissect it as well. But I was just listening. They will dissect it themselves, and then I will take my spin on it because of what was said and the document that was being read, that is now in the hands, documented in Hansard's. I'm going to break that down to you and what that means. But going back to Danny's point, where when you're presenting something on the floor of Parliament and you're discussing it amongst yourself, which is the elected arm, and a minister is asked a question and the answer can't be provided, and they say they're going to respond back in writing, where does that put the common man? Remember the appropriation bill, that it was there to be debated on or to be talked about? For expedience, we said we don't know what the strategy was where ministers did not speak and all that sort of stuff. And it was said, oh, the ministers will get their time to speak during the finance committee. I like, that doesn't make much sense, because unless it's targeted questions, they only answer the questions and they're specific in nature. And not only that, but it doesn't go beyond that question. And then if it can't be answered because either the information is not readily available by the operational arm of government, the chief officer, or otherwise, then guess what? That question is left hanging there and you will never know. Versus when it's being debated and the minister then says, this is what I'm outlining. I know we're going to be dealing with the budget and all that sort of stuff. This is what is in line. This is what I will be producing from a ministerial standpoint, from the national perspective, from the local perspective. This is how it's going to be impacting the lives of every Caymanian, international reputation. If you get where I'm going with this, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. The only minister that spoke, that outlined exactly what this budget meant to them, what they intend to roll out come January 1st, was the Honorable Nicholas Da Costa. He outlined everything. He delivered. He was confident. He believed in, he sold his speech. And, that's what was expected of all of them. But now you have this declaration that outlines exactly how government is going to make their money, and the fees are going to impact small businesses, all businesses, the financial industry, insurance industry. And we heard members of the opposition that says, well, so what for the financial industry, like for the banks, because what they make based on their balance sheets, we can levy higher fees on them. And I'm paraphrasing, because of what they're making. And the Premier then actually went on to explain that, yes, even if that is the case, they had the discussions with the banks and they felt comfortable enough that to say in their discussions that no fees will be passed on then to their customers. They will be looking, though, at their practices and their actions, and should they see where fees are levied against customers, contrary to what discussions industry stakeholders meeting. Remember yesterday, I think it was Cameron and Denver were saying they use certain language, whatever, but where does that include the regular person? That was the exact line that was used, saying that they discussed, they had stakeholder engagements. And it wasn't envisaged that any of these fees from the banks would be passed on to customers. It's only a matter of time. But the key takeaway, because Finance Committee is still going on, they have only gotten to a few ministries, and it will go into next week. I know that, based on how the questions are now being asked and the back and forth and so forth, and how these ministries are going to be funded. But the long and short is, maybe they would have gotten through Finance Committee a little bit faster with still a few more questions, if, even though it may have taken a little longer, if all the ministers probably had present exactly what is in what they're going to do with the monies that will be allocated, or what was actually detailed in how government is going to pretty much make their revenue from these increase in fees, even though some of it had started from the immigration standpoint from the last administration. Not a lot got done. But what I'm saying is little to no public knowledge of how these fees were going to be impacting our lives was discussed publicly. And this is the very same thing where it questions the word democracy, where it then questions how your voice matters, how you are actually looked at, because this is going to be big. And should this be passed in the voting blocks, how they're voting, they're going to come in effect as of January 1st. For example, one work permit fee, the filing fee for, let's say, a domestic helper, that's going to go, just a filing fee is going to move from $100 to $150. And then there are other fees that are going to be increased where immigration is concerned, like status on the grounds of marriage, status on the grounds of naturalization, status on the grounds of descent that goes to the board now, where that had attracted $1,000, that's not going to attract a fee. But status on the grounds of marriage now is going to, once it's approved, $3,000. Status on the grounds of naturalization for someone who's been here 15 years, that's going to go to the approval fee. It's going to be $5,000. So just like how I heard it is exactly when the opposition heard it. And then that begs the question, because they're making their vote on this more than likely as they go through. And I stand to be corrected here because this is all coming in and I'm going to digest everything. I have to go back and I'll have to sit down because now we're live. I'll have to go and I will look at everything and I'll listen to everything. And this is going to make headlines because I'm telling you, it's going to impact some of the small businesses that we have on island and how they operate. And I was discussing before coming live that maybe this is a way to try and curtail all the scammers or all of the unscrupulous behaviors for the multi mom and pop stores that are coming up. And remember, now we did find out that immigration is on an exercise that there's finding a lot of frivolous persons that are operating, coming in on false documents and all that sort of stuff. So maybe at the end of the day, I feel that this is one way going to try and curtail some of the bad behavior, limit some of the importation of labor because the fees may be so cheap. But there are other implications that could actually hit the small business persons that I don't think they're looking at. I did remember the chairman, and I'm going based on memory because I have to sit down and just dissect it all again, but just to keep you up to speed with what's going on. And the real Michelle said that she was listening as well, watching the finance session. And it is, I think indirectly, it's going to impact some of the small businesses, and those costs are going to be passed on. Those costs are going to be passed on. For those who can't survive, I guess they will decide to close their doors. And at the end of the day, if people just scale back, then everybody hurts at the end of the day. But this is not any loom and gloom at all. This is just facts. It is happening in real time right now. What stood out for me was the fact that these were some of the things that came up in so much other episodes this week and from last week about how your rights, how you feel like your voice doesn't matter, how you're finding out. And remember the conversations that ensued post-show, that people feel like, I didn't know all of this was happening. I didn't know that these laws even existed. Yeah, it's real. It's real. Just like how this is now being presented on the floor right now, and they have to make these decisions. They're voting on it. It makes you, the little man, or the common man, a regular member of society, feel as though you are not valued. And I can understand where that could be coming from now as well, for people who are feeling that they're not valued. And I pretty much, it stopped me in my tracks. But maybe I can go into some more about that. I just not very comfortable right now speaking about what was actually just what is being debated as we speak, because I need to digest exactly what the chairman was actually reading to make it make sense and to see how directly or indirectly it will impact every Caymanian. And even though we may be split to say, well, it's about time, I recall the chairman saying that, the last time something like this, where revenue measures impact certain industries, that the Cayman Islands now has been benefiting from those, don't quote me, for X amount of years. I think that's 12, 15, whatever years. But the climate that we're in now, post a pandemic, post what we're seeing happening with geopolitical tariffs, the whole cost of living generally, inflation of life, is a total different time. It's a total different time right now. And even the richest of person right now is counting every, you can't even say penny anymore because the US stopped minting them, every dollar, every cent, every nickel and dime. So it is what it is. It is. Congratulations, Monica, for that. You're just talking to me on the side. Yeah, good for you. But yeah, so I think this is going to impact a lot of businesses, like the liquor licensing fees for some of those small businesses that sell. Yeah, like Cabana, they're going to be hit with some of those fees. They could be hit by them because that's what is being proposed. Now, if it's passed, like I said, they're going to go in effect for January 1st. Law 101 Law 101 should be compulsory in high schools. Oh, okay. Real Michelle. Thank you. I think the more we actually hear is the more we will actually be able to when you hear certain lines being used, you'd be able to identify it. And I am so happy that we are actually engaging in these discussions so that when you hear certain things, what it means. Because I think that is the key at the end of the day, to be honest, that you're not only listening, but you're able to understand when certain languages are used. And we should all be in tuned, to be honest, but not get angry because you feel as though they're doing things that are not making you feel a part of it. But the government has to operate. Remember yesterday I said, it is hard for a government to strike a balance where they're honoring the will of the people to make certain changes, but still have to secure certain industries where income can still be coming in, where their jurisdiction can still be attractive, that you invite persons to want to invest, want to actually do business here, that everybody benefits from at the end of the day. Now, once I dissect it, I'll leave that question hanging on the backs of who with this statement that was made and the breakdown of exactly the new revenue measures. So it's going to be rather interesting how this plays out. I want to try to see if I can get something here. Yeah. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, it's interesting to see how it's going to play out at the end of the day. And I am hoping that I can even, I don't know if they're going to actually keep the trade and business, because, as Caymanians, that you can actually get waived. Like, for example, temporary work permit fees. In relation to work permit fees, some of them will increase by 150% to 400%, with the standard work permit administration fee increasing from $100 to $500. Now, that doesn't mean that all filing fees will be $500 to just put in the application. It's based on how much the work permit fees are. Like, for example, 0 to, let's say, 1,200 in work permit fee. Then that will go from like $100 to like 200 or or 250. This is why I tell you, I want to break it down, because the questions was asked, could not be answered by the minister. And that was the same for others as well. So it is what it is. And then temporary work permit fees, as I said, it depending on the income ban. Now, that was a little weird, because when they said income ban, you would think that's based on how much the employee would actually be making. No, it was based on, from what was understood, the work permit fee. So it's based on the cost of work permit fees that will be determined what the filing fee will be. So, Oh, in relation to permanent residents and Caymanian status fee, there will be new or increased fees for permanent residence holders, including new dependent fees, which will increase from $500, what it is right now, to $750 per year, per dependent per year. So it's an additional of $250. So new dependent fees will increase from $500 and it will go to $750. Now, you know, the annual declaration that persons who are permanent resident holders right now are paying, that they have to file every year a declaration. That filing fee was $100 to submit that. That is now $500. So that's an increase of 400% to declare your annual declaration. The right to be Caymanian application for grants are also going to be increased, and the grant for the right to be Caymanian by marriage will increase from $1,000 when it's approved to $3,000. So that's an increase of 200%. So if you're the spouse of a Caymanian, now I don't know if this is going to be a grandfather's clause, if your application is in, which they said anything that is in right now before, that this will not be impact. So if these fees are going to go in effect as of the 1st of January, and I'm just speaking off the cuff, this will be confirmed by the chairman, and you have to just tune into Parliament, that will more than likely be for all applications applied or submitted on or after January 1st. I'm hoping. Please don't quote me on this. This is still developing, okay? So let me just say, I don't know. All I know, it's going to be in effect as of the 1st of January if it's passed. But how would that impact applications that are in the pipeline? Normally, precedent setting, things like this don't include applications that are already submitted normally. So we'll just wait and see. But in this case, the submission, which would mean it would be under the same terms and contracts, same terms and conditions of when it was submitted, the law that was in effect at the time of submission, okay? But those fees are going to increase from $1,000 to $3,000. And the grant fee for the right to be Caymanian on the grounds of naturalization. Now, that's persons who are naturalized, who have either been naturalized for 5 years or have been naturalized and legal and ordinarily resident here for 15 years, whichever happens earlier. That fee now will move from $1,000 to $5,000. That's their approval fee, okay? And for the fee of the right to be Caymanian granted by the governor and cabinet, that too has been moved from $1,000, what's being proposed, from $1,000 to $5,000. Now, in regards to persons of independent means, that is an approval fee right now of $20,000. Persons of independent means, right? They get the 25-year certificate. That approval fee now has been moved up by $30,000. So it's now going to be $50,000, okay? That's resident certificate for persons of independent means will increase from $20,000 to $50,000. The issue fee for certificate of permanent residence of persons of independent means will increase from $1,000 to $2,000, And for application fee for direct investment certificates will increase from 20,000 to 50,000. Now, the other immigration administrative fees will also increase. So if you want to go for routine items such as document copies, duplicate certificates, and re-entry permits will increase by 100% to 150%. And business visitors permit fees will increase by 250% to 600%, depending on the category. Now, there will be an introduction of a national identification fee, which this was explained that it's not the national, like the digital ID that they were talking about. Back in the day, once a work permit was issued, work permit holders were issued an ID. That is what this is actually addressing, because it clearly states it, that there will be introduced an annual national identification fee for work permit holders that is estimated to generate an additional revenue of $1.5 million. So just to get an ID now, whatever this number will be, whatever that fee will be, they're estimating 1.5 million income just for an ID. But if we are going to fill those positions then with Caymanians or not renew, then that 1.5 million may not even come. If you're successful with actually doing this amendment to the immigration law, this 1.5 million will be a farce unless you're still maintaining to, or unless you're still going to have work permits in the numbers. How did you come up to this forecasted $1.5 million if the entire immigration reform was supposed to cut down on work permits? I'm leaving it there. That's for them to answer. But again, food for thought. There's also plans to increase special economic zone fees, which are estimated to yield an additional $7 million per year. That's for persons who don't have to go through immigration and they come and they set up their offices here in a designated zone, that they're protected under that. And it is envisaged that this mechanism now that's already here would cause people to move their families here. They would purchase house, they would rent cars, or they would buy cars to put their kids in school. They would use our local services and all that sort of stuff. And then their offices will be here. And then that should create jobs for Caymanians as well. But just that fee alone, whatever that is, based on however numbers they're able to get, it's just a number that we plugged in here. An additional 7.0 million per year. So there's also some other stuff. Okay. Another thing about the liquor licensing fees for those who are in the business that is estimated, stated by the chairman, that to yield an additional 1.6 million in 2026. Now they're estimating 1.6 million to be yield from liquor license and fees alone. And that will include fees for distributors are increasing, from $4,800 to $25,000. Now, liquor license and fees for hotels with beds 50 or fewer, fees are increasing from $2,000 to $5,000. With beds of 51 to 100 beds, fees are increasing from $4,800 to $10,000. Hotels with 101 to 199 beds, fees are increasing from $4,800 to $15,000. And with hotels 200 to 299 beds, liquor licensing fees will be increasing from $4,800 to $17,500. So talking about you going down, sit down by those hotels, cut you 10 as a local to interact, but you go order any top shelf drink, these fees gonna hit you. Okay. All right. Hotels with 300 to 399 beds, fees are increasing from, these are liquor licensing fees, from 4,800 to 20,000. And hotels with 400 beds or more, liquor licensing fees are increasing from 4,800 to $25,000. Now, when you talk about restaurants, liquor licensing fees for restaurants will increase as well. For those restaurants with less than 50 seats, fewer than 50 seats, it's going to go from $1,500 to $3,000. Restaurants with 50 to 99 seats, the liquor licensing fees will increase from $1,500 to $5,000. For restaurants with 100 to 199 seats, fees will be increasing from $1,500 to $8,000. And those restaurants with 200 to 299 seats, these fees will increase from $1,500 to $10,000. And restaurants with 300 to 500 seats, liquor licensing fees are increasing from $1,500 to $15,000. So that's just liquor licensing. All of those restaurants, that's the increase in another cost of operations to operate their business in order to be able to serve you an alcoholic beverage. That's an add-on cost to these persons operating their business. Now, as it pertains to trade and business license, the chairman also says that in his release, that in his statement, that it will yield an additional 1.1 million for 2026 and 2027. And the trader's license, the license fee for property developers with 15 or less, the word fewer, employees will increase from $750 to $10,000. Property developers with fewer employees will increase from $750 to $10,000. The license fee for property developers with 16 or more employees will increase from $750 to $20,000. And for real estate agencies with non-Caymanian agents will increase from $750 to $10,000. These are your real estate agencies. We have Caymanians in real estate, and this is not prejudicial, okay? So we have young Caymanian business, and this I'm hoping now will cause more of our Caymanians now to go and get trained real estate and all that sort of stuff, or those persons who are employing them will actually see these fees now, what they're going to have to pay, right? Because it says the license fee for real estate agencies with non-Caymanian agents will increase from $750 to $10,000. The license fee for self-employed local companies, but what would be the license fee for those real estate agencies? And this is trade and business license. So will you have to declare how much Caymanians are in your company that will determine whether or not you pay the $10,000? Like I said, context matters. Well, maybe if they had done what they were supposed to do in the appropriations debate, all of these questions wouldn't come up. The license fee for self-employed companies, local companies control license, that is known as LCCL, will increase from $750 to $10,000. The trade and traders license fee for accountants, including auditors, actuaries, bookkeepers, and statisticians, will increase from $2,000 to $2,500. Now, motor vehicle license for motor vehicle charges and private and rental vehicle license for non-Caymanians will be increased to yield an additional $9.6 million in 2026 and 2027. And these measures will involve for driver's license fees of heavy equipment and special vehicles for non-Caymanians. A 3-year license. So they're going to ask for your nationality now when you go, right? Okay. 3-year license will increase from $120 to $750. A 5-year license will increase from $200 to $1,250. A 10-year license will increase from $400 to $2,500. The driver's license fees of motor cars and trucks up to 3 tons for non-Caymanians. So, okay, they're specifying here, okay? For non-Caymanians, a 3-year license will increase from $75 to $600. 5-year license will increase from $125 to $1,000. And a 10-year license will increase from $250 to $2,000. Now, even though these are fees for non-Caymanians, if a Caymanian is the proprietor, is the sole proprietor, the owner, these fees then are paid by who? Wouldn't it be the same Caymanian, the owner and the operator of the business? Yeah, just shelf that for a second. A driver's license fees for motorcycles, both under and over 125 cc's for non-Caymanians. So for driver's license fees, okay, so all of those are people that deliver food, who's going to pay that? Is it the person operating it? Again, let's put that on a post-it. A 3-year license will increase from $75 to $600. And a 5-year license will increase from $125 to $1,000. The key takeaway here of what all of these is proposed is the term non-Caymanians. But if all of these persons are here on work permits, it would be interesting to see who's going to absorb that, or can it be split 50-50 between the person? Let me go to some of these before I get lost here. Did I hear correctly, the Water Board would 49 million revenue, but some 237,000 profit? Real Michelle, that's what I heard too. But like I said, I was preparing for the show and listening at the same time. And then, of course, just as you were shocked with certain things, I too was shocked, because I was like, what am I hearing? Where is this? Was this released? Did I miss a press release or something? No, we didn't miss anything. The first time you heard it while it was live is the first time we were hearing it as the public, and so was the opposition. So hence me telling you now, we just got to get this. Live Happy. Hi, good evening to you. Happy Friday. Connie Bonnie, how are you? Dean, the liquor stores has already increased on their stock, double whammy for Christmas. Well, if they heard that this is coming, Dean, I could tell you what. Like I said, context matters. And I know that the chairman will actually more than likely explain in detail later or at some point, because I'm quite sure they will hear that we were discussing it very briefly here. But I mean, people are watching it. At one point, I saw 160 something viewers on the live from government, and I'm happy to see the numbers now are increasing. But I think a lot of us got spin for a little twirl when we heard some of these numbers. Real Teresa also says, the number of unemployed Caymanians decreased by 8.3% to 1,048 persons in fall, that's now, of 2024, resulting in an unemployment rate. The number of unemployed Caymanians decreased by 8.3 to 1,048 persons in fall of 2024, resulting in an unemployment rate of 4.6, lower than the 5.0% in fall of 2023. Finance Minister July of 2025. Yes, thank you. Oh, July 2024. Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, so we're seeing where is this direct? People are just seeing what the proposals of the white people are and they're leaving, and now Caymanians are filling those gaps. Well, if that is the case and we can prove what's causing these persons to leave and our numbers are dropping in unemployed Caymanians, then I'd say we're off to the races and we're going for a win. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for that, Real Michelle. But there you go. And then you see the vehicle license fees for non-Caymanian owned rental vehicles. For cars up to 2,500, the fee will increase from $365 to $400. For cars over 2,500 cc's, fees will increase $400 to $500. And the rental trucks, 4,001 to 8,500 pounds, the fee will increase from $500 to $600. Now, vehicle license fees for non-Caymanian owned truck and trailers. For trailers up to 2,000 pounds, the fees will increase from $50 to $75. For trailers 10,001 to 66,000 pounds, the fees will increase from $420 to $430. And for trade plate holders, the vehicle license fees will increase from $1,408 to $1,600. So there you have it. This was delivered by the finance minister on the House of Parliament, on the floor of Parliament in Finance Committee earlier today. And like I said, I still have to digest exactly how directly or indirectly this will impact our very own people. But even the bank trust fees, which, like I said, members of the opposition, Chris Saunders, Boddentown West, says that he wished that they were higher up and that these fees are too low for them, and that the fees from the banks should be much more. And also insurance fees, I think it was Georgetown Central elected member says the insurance company fees will increase. He feels that this will impact all of us who have to insure like properties, that sort of stuff, because the chairman says insurance license fees will increase to yield an additional $7 million starting from 2026. And domestic insurance license fees will increase from $9,500 to $10,450. And captive insurance license fees will increase from $10,500 to $11,550. And reinsurance license fees will increase from $13,500 to $14,850. So that is just a snippet. And like I said, context matters in all of this at the end of the day. And because it is so fresh, some of those fees may stun some of you. But then the other flip side of it is it may deter frivolous marriage for those who are about to enter marriage when they see what's coming, unless they get married before the 31st. And even that, we don't know. Because a lot of these fees now are based on when applications are submitted, I'm sure. But these fees are going to take effect, if passed and as proposed, for the 1st of January. Because Finance Committee is still very much alive and is happening, is why it's important that we all stay tuned, because at the end of the day, Caymanians are going to feel this, but the government has to make money. But on the backs of who? And at what sacrifice? At what peril? And with the current time and climate that we're in, people are saying, you know, cost of living, what are you going to do with cost of living? These fees are going to have a trickle-down effect. Not to say that something isn't needed to be done, of course. But I think what is a bit shocking is exactly what we were all talking about yesterday. That why is it you're only hearing about it now? Why is it? What does that say to you? What does that say to the average person? How do you feel? Regarding the fee hikes, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, it will all fall in place. Yeah, but you see, live happy. That's what they're saying. And that's exactly what the chairman said, the Honorable Ralston Anglin, saying that the last time an exercise like this happened, I don't want to quote what year because, like I said, I was preparing and just trying to get ready. That right now the Cayman Islands benefit from those fees up until this day, and there were no, like you would say, mass exodus. Business kept coming in. We got people who are still opening up insurance companies. We got still people that are doing financial services here, and they're paying the fees. But I think where people are looking at is with the immigration reform side of things. Kudos to the grant fee being removed from status on the grounds of descent. That is persons who have a parent or grandparent that is born in the islands, who is over the age of 18 and has to go to the board for the grant. That used to attract $1,000 fee. The Honorable Minister said that now is no longer going to attract a fee, but the fee increased from $1,000 for status on the grounds of marriage is now $3,000 once it's approved, and on the grounds of naturalization has moved from $1,000 to $5,000. Now, again, even if this comes in effect from January 1st, I guess the Honorable Minister, when it gets to his time to speak, that's the minister responsible for immigration, I'm quite sure he will give an explanation with more clarity as to when these fees will take effect, whether or not it would impact applications that have not yet been decided upon, or any new application being submitted on or after January 1st. So these fees may not, to be confirmed by the government, may not impact any application that is in process at this time. That's normally how it's done. Once your application is submitted and any major changes like this, normally the fees does not impact you. It's based on the time of submission and when this will come in effect, should it be passed as proposed. Miss Lucille, hi from the UK. Good evening, my love. I am listening. It is a good thing I am almost deaf, so I cannot hear too well. You heard enough to know that you're glad you're in that position for this context. Oh, Miss Lucille. Yes, my love. These fees are, it is what it is. We asked for immigration reform. The town hall meetings have concluded. Persons went out and they asked their questions. That's only one department, but this fee is in general. It isn't just only immigration. These are liquor license, trade and business, operational, driver's license, that sort of stuff. So it is not just one ministry. And it was presented today, and I'm assuming they're expecting to be voting on it. And this is the space. I'm quite sure this will go into the weekend as talks, that all of us get home, try to unwind for the weekend, and probably go back and listen to yesterday's and today's proceedings, and to see exactly what I've shared with you, how it's going to fall into play. And then Monday, to digest all of this, maybe some narrative will be used by the chairman for clarity. Maybe ministers who have not spoken when they do speak, will clarify some of the questions and concerns that are asked, because there are a lot of questions as well in regards to some of the immigration fees that were not answered at the time proposed by members of the opposition, because they just didn't have the answers. So maybe they're going to compile all of this based on what public discussions now ensue after our Minister of Finance has made this public statement informing members of the Parliament of how government is going to make their money for 2026 and 2027. And we have heard, and I've just given a snippet pretty much of how our government is going to earn some of their revenue. And there are still questions, but that's only me. What do you think about it? Live happy. Caymanian small business, not at all. Won't hire people on work permit and just collect the money. They don't understand small businesses and the concept of a sole trader. this will this will awaken business owners who just want to collect the money. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's the whole idea, Live Happy. We're hoping that the culture that we're seeing right now, and that's based on public discussions, that in certain organizations, they don't even want locals. And maybe the cost and the height of these fees that are being proposed will deter that. And they will either be more inclined to employ Caymanians or persons married to Caymanians, where a fee is not attracted to. But it all depends on the nature of business too. Because remember, you can be the spouse of a Caymanian, still do not have Caymanian status, and maybe a truck driver. Those fees are going to impact you when it comes to the driver's license. So that's going to be interesting. Again, context matters. They said for non-Caymanians, you are not Caymanian until you get status. Okay? So what if those fees that we stated where the trade and business license and driver's license and licenses for vehicles and stuff is the spouse of a Caymanian who has, let's say, another 4 or 5 years before they're even eligible for Caymanian status, who's going to bear the brunt of that fee for the spouse of a Caymanian, but not Caymanian? But it's specific in what was read on the floor. It's specific. Now, whether this would be adjusted, this is a time, is it debatable? I don't know, because you don't debate in finance committee. You actually ask questions and then they answer them. The debate happens in the Appropriations Bill debate that didn't happen. And this information in its details, full details, was not shared. So you can ask all the questions you want right now with what is presented today. The opposition can ask all of the questions. They can throw all of the tantrums they want in the world. The government still has the numbers. The government still has the numbers. So that's going to be, and let me, for example, practicing certificates for legal profession, right? The chairman actually stated that for the legal profession, that's people in law, the field of law, right? These measures, what the fees, the practicing certificates and the law firm operational license and fees and all that sort of stuff. These measures are estimated to yield an additional 10.2 million in 2026 and 6.3 million in 2027. And the fees now for in-house counsel will increase from 1,000 to 2,500 for law firms with non-Caymanian affiliates. They're specific. So it isn't saying spouse of Caymanians. They're saying law firms with non-Caymanian affiliates, practicing certificates, fees will increase from 2,500 to 7,500. So if you're the spouse of a Caymanian, your practice certificate, and you got another 4 years, let's say, I don't know, I'm just pulling numbers, you're still going to be impacted by this. Who will pay it? Will it be the employer or it'll be shared cost? There's no context. For law firms with Caymanian affiliates, fees will increase from 2,000 to 2,500. So that's $500 more. The one-time admission fee for non-Caymanian attorneys will increase from 2,000 to 10,000. Again, I'm married. My husband has, let's say, 3, 4, 5 more years to go before he becomes Caymanian. I'm still going to be impacted as a spouse of a Caymanian. Just saying. I'm just saying. Unless we're clear who's absorbing this fee. And the law firm operational fee for firms with 1 to 10 attorneys, license fees will be none. For firms, and I stand to be corrected because there was something here that had to be amended. For firms with 11 to 15 attorneys, license will increase from 40,000 to 50,000. And for firms with 16 to 20 attorneys, license will increase from 60,000 to 75,000. Yeah, so this is, again, it is happening as we speak, okay? But I had to say it because these are going to impact some of our businesses, and it is unclear. And that's why context matters. The real Michelle Teresa says, my goodness, sounds like Cayman is cleaning up, but the debate is not widely public. Why not? Other countries broadcast actual debates, not report reading. See, these are questions that you pose here and hoping the powers that be or their operational staff will listen and hear. That's an action item. And if you're saying, cleaning up, but the debate is not widely public. GIS, they share their links, but it's for you to actually log on. There is no whole heap of PR on it. This is what we're going to be talking about. Stay tuned, like how you would promote something like an event. That's not the culture here. And even if that is the case, it's live on YouTube and all government social media channels, but there's not one dedicated station, and I stand to be corrected, that you could tune in once the House is in session, be it Finance Committee or whatever, that carries it live. Maybe that's something that could be looked at as one of the stations for Radio Cayman. Now, if they're doing it, good, and I'll stand to be corrected, but I'm not aware that in real time there's one particular station or dial that you can look on your radio, like a PBS, public broadcasting station, that you can get when things like this are happening in real time. And then who's going to promote it? That should be a task of government. Yes, you heard about it in the news and all that sort of stuff, but for the detailed information that is being shared here, for the impact that it could have on everyday life operations and all that sort of stuff, you would think that, yeah, that you would be like, yeah. No. Mm-mm. That is something maybe, you all can push. We all can push. Dang. Guess I won't apply to practice in Cayman. How's the meditation industry looking there? Or medication industry? Live happy. It will discourage marriage of convenience. I can see that. Well, that's a little tricky. That's a little tricky, Live Happy, because how can you say that? Increasing the fees to stop frivolous marriages or convenient marriages. They could be doing this to get a mortgage because they have a kid and they want a kid to live in a happy home and they just stick together for whatever. But increasing the fees, I doubt it, to be honest, if you're going to look at it from that perspective. Highly unlikely. It won't have any impact. Little to no impact. Now, stretching out the time for one to acquire the status, maybe, but the fees, little to no impact. I don't think the fee increase would actually do that at all. Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you. Mitigation. It's Friday. It's Friday. What a mess. Yeah, sorry about that. Because I'm racing thoughts and I'm thinking ahead. So yeah, my apologies there. Yeah, I don't think really that it would impact any of those fake marriages or sham marriages that much. Not a fee. Because some of them will fake it till they make it until they get what they want. But the length of time could possibly, like, I'm not going to put up with this for 20 years just to get status. No. And it's what comes in between that will determine whether or not entering into a marriage that is not conducive, that is not healthy. For example, one of the advantages in getting married to a Caymanian under the current system is that once you were determined to have the residency spouse of Caymanian for at least a year, and you were resident in the islands for 3 to 5 years, you would be eligible to apply for naturalization 1 year after holding that certificate of being married to a Caymanian, because you would have already been living here for more than 3 years or 5 years, right? And then that made it attractive for those persons under that certificate as a spouse of a Caymanian that didn't no longer carry expiry date of 7 years. They were then eligible to, under the British Nationality Act, to apply for naturalization. Once that naturalization on the grounds of marriage was approved, that entitled that holder to apply for a Cayman passport. Now, if you just wanted to get the Cayman passport for ease of getting a US visa or ESTA or something like that, of course that's attractive, right? Once you acquired then that naturalization to get the Cayman passport, that then automatically opened up the door for you to apply for British registration, which makes you entitled then to British citizenship. And once you get that, then once you get the British citizenship, British registration, that entitled you to the UK passport. Some of them, that's all they wanted. Some settled for just a Cayman passport. Bat out of hell, they're gone. Marriage is still in the eyes of the court. You're still married because there's no divorce, but unless there's a 5-year separation, no contact, whatever the case may be, they're living their happy life, and whoever is left behind is still legally married. And then they get the UK passport then, and they migrate to the United Kingdom. And of course, that just opens them up to wherever. So it all depends if all of these things are amended or looked at 100% view, right? That will not make the fake marriages be so attractive then, or being married to a Caymanian so attractive. And a lot of times it was just to get the Cayman passport. So once they got that passport, they would just leave. And but what you realize now, should they leave this jurisdiction on a Cayman travel document, be it with a visa or ESTA, wherever they're ending up, they're entering that country as a Caymanian citizen. Yeah, because of the document that they're carrying. So that doesn't look good on us as well. But yeah, so whether or not it's going to stop the fees, speaking about the fees, I doubt that. When they obtain Caymanian status, do they have to give up their original? No, you can have dual nationality. You can have dual citizenship. You can have dual citizenship. There are people that are holding their country of origin, the Cayman passport, and the UK passport. And let's say they married to somebody else from another country, they're entitled to that passport. I have, in my time, seen one individual hold 5 different passports, and they were not in breach of any laws. They had 5 different nationalities. Yeah. So, yeah, they don't have to renounce their original nationality. No, not here in the Cayman Islands. Yeah. And that is quite interesting because even that is something that is a wider conversation in immigration reform, but it requires a lot of other jurisdiction to see what laws are in place. But right now, as it is right now, once you acquire Caymanian status, you don't have to renounce your original citizenship at all. But you're entitled to the Cayman travel document that doesn't make you a citizen. You become a Caymanian citizen when you acquire Caymanian status. The travel document, the Cayman passport, is just that, a travel document. Until one acquires Caymanian status, that's the only how they become nationality Caymanian. And that's where was actually getting a lot of people confused, because independent countries like the United States, like Canada, like Jamaica, for example, once you hold their passport, you become a citizen. That's not it here. We're a British overseas territory jurisdiction, and being the holder of a Cayman passport, especially if you're not born here or by entitlement, descent, like that, to get status acknowledged, then that's just acting as a travel document. And going back to the topic of fake marriages or sham marriages, that was what was attractive, because people are saying it's just so easy for you to be brandishing a Cayman passport and going to another country holding a passport that is Caymanian, when truly we're fighting here for our own identity. And yeah, so I don't think much will be done to that at all. Not at all. So yeah. But for the sake of this, I am going to delve into it just a little bit more. It all depends on what kind of attention it gets, or should you warrant more, because I know the weekend is Caymanian is not a nationality at all. Hi, Danny. And over the weekend, as this soaks in, we got to absorb what was just released on us today. And even though they're estimates, there's a lot more questions and answers as to how they came up with some of these numbers. And because let's say a few hundred people leave or nobody leaves, that's the only how it's going to stick. In regards to what is estimated on work permit fees income, that one left a red flag up for me, because if we're supposed to be lessening the amount of work permits, how can you forecast what you're expecting it to make if you're not also including how much work permits are going to remain in place? So that's about it. That's a little interesting. Does a Caymanian have the same rights as UK as a citizen? In the earlier days, they're trying to curtail that. Does a Caymanian have the same rights in the UK as a UK citizen? Pretty much yes, but access to certain services have been curtailed, and they are actually trying to tailor that a little bit. But in actual fact, because we are a British overseas territory jurisdiction, you can say yes. It's a little weird, to be honest. People are crying out, but you can go over there, you can live and you can work, you can access certain services, you can actually get a lot of benefits as well. But right now, there's a lot more paperwork than back in the day that you have to fill out right now. So at the end of the day, the straight out answer is pretty much yes, because we are a British overseas territory jurisdiction. But I think even them right now are tightening up certain things, because it is not reciprocated just because of our sheer size. Any UK national coming here cannot just come and work without a work permit. They can't come and set up shop, open up a business to compete just because we were a British overseas territory jurisdiction. UK nationals coming to the Cayman Islands is treated like anybody else, but Caymanians can go over there and it's different. So yeah, the real Michelle. Joshua Dilbert. Hello, Sabrina. When rollover time comes, or the 6 months requirement proposed, if you leave a job before 2 years, what happens if you can't afford your ticket to leave? Well, the person who brought you here, 2 years, what happens? Your employer would bear that responsibility. Your last employer in this case would be shared responsibility to assist you in leaving this jurisdiction, not the person that originally brought you here if you're not still with that same employer. To be honest with you, now there are provisions in place with work, immigration, CBC. I still look at them as just one, that if they have to assist you in your repatriation home to your country of origin, more than likely you'll be barred from coming back. But do not remain here because you can't afford a ticket to go back to your country and become destitute in this country. Go to the relevant authorities, that is CBC, and explain your situation. But whoever was the last holder of your work permit, if you leave a job before 2 years, what happens if you can't afford your ticket to leave? In this case, that responsibility is borne on your last employer, Joshua. But if you find yourself in the position where you definitely just can't make it and you can't get that ticket, then my dear, you find yourself to immigration and you explain your case, why you're in this position. There are funds available to help in your repatriation. But like I said, that takes a different scenario because you'd be deemed destitute. But I'm quite sure that will not be a problem with what they're trying to do with persons who want to leave. I'm quite sure the system that is set up right now, Joshua, they'll help. And I'm trying to be as diplomatic and polite as I can. But that onus is on your last employer. And I specify last employer because the liability of you being in this country was based on your last issuance of a work permit. And they are responsible for you. Okay. So please try to have the conversation with your last employer. If that is failing, don't stay here and become in dire straits. You find yourself to CBC for assistance. Okay. Now oh my gosh, it's 6:30 almost. Let's talk a little bit about Pirates Week, if you don't mind. But again, please keep your questions going, popping up here. I will answer them if I can, because I'm live and I can't see what's going on in Parliament. I don't know if they're ended for the day, or I don't know if they're going to go on later, but it'll be interesting to hear what other ministries are going to be presented and how the votes go. But bearing in mind, the government has 11 members and they have the majority of the seats anyhow. So that is something for you to mull over. The budget will be passed. Members of the opposition can question all they want. At the end of the day, the government has the majority seats and it will more than likely pass anyhow. Okay. I was doing some research on it because I was out in town last night and I didn't really, I did some digging. Some people hear the name, and I'm hearing it more and more, and it has come up here that people are not pleased with the name Pirates Week. And it's in discussion, to be honest. Joshua Dilbert. Okay. No, I was wondering that oh yeah. Okay. How are you doing over there? Some people hear the name and immediately think when it comes to Pirates Week, we can switch gears, wondering like change my little 8-track CD a little bit, just for a little bit. And they immediately think, oh my gosh, why on earth are we celebrating pirates? Criminals who are known to once terrorize, like the Caribbean. And why are we in the Cayman Islands celebrating for a whole week pirates? And I'll tell you this, based on my research, which I've said it here before, that's not what Pirates Week was ever meant to be. Yeah. And you may say, well, are we celebrating pirates or are we celebrating Caymanian culture? And if Pirates Week fails, then another questions we need to ask, is every Caymanian to be blamed? Think about that. Well, I'm going to break it down a little bit because I was shocked when I found this out because I never heard this name before. Back in 1977, before that, we didn't do anything, right? And Pirates Week came about in 1977. And it wasn't to celebrate pirates. It was only came about at the acts of the current government then to boost tourism during that slow season that gave Caymanians a twofold, the platform to showcase exactly our culture, our food, our music, and our traditions here. And the theme, pirate, was chosen as a hook to attract visitors to our shores. But the heart, the core, the soul of the festival has always been about Caymanian heritage and national pride, right? And when you look at back then, I think, let me pull it up here. White was started, like I alluded to earlier on. Back then, they had a department called the Cayman Islands Tourist and Visitors Bureau, asked Mr. Rudy Seltzer, who, by the way, was awarded the Sir Turtle Award by the then Executive Council, Mr. Warren Connolly, on behalf of the then government for his outstanding contributions to tourism in the Cayman Islands. And he created his contributions to create this event that we are still celebrating today, right? And that would bring tourists during the off season. Like I said earlier on, the use of, let's say back then, a romantic pirate image to grab, but the attentions of tourists. But honestly, from what research I did, it was the sole purpose to celebrate Caymanian culture and stimulate the economy. What I also found out, because I could remember Pirates Week being in October, that the first festival was held on October 29th for the week, and that went straight till November 5th of 1977. And records has it that more than 3,000 people attended that. And at that time, that was about 18% of the population here in the Cayman Islands that showed up for that. And guess what the highlight was? The highlight of that was the mock pirate landing that was still celebrated today. And that became iconic. Remember, they used to blow up the little island, which, yeah, with those things blowing up, little island now right there in Hogstye Bay has just been blown to smithereens. But the whole idea was to boost tourism. And it eventually drew international attention. And our hotels here at the time started filling up, restaurants during this entire week that would have normally been a quiet season. They eventually became busting at the seams. But the key is it gave our locals a chance to sell their food, their craft, and showcase our tradition. And beyond the pirate theme, it also included heritage days in each district, as we're seeing. We saw all sorts of things where they tried to consolidate it into just a weekend, and now we've gone back now to the different district days that now have district committees. But right now, we're not seeing all of the districts displaying their district days at the same level, and it is disheartening. Now, our older Caymanians may feel uncomfortable with the name Pirates Week, believing, that possibly it's glorifying criminals. And for them, it may seem like we're celebrating something negative. And not even the older Caymanians. It all depends on your biblical faith, how you see it. But what I said at the beginning here was never really to celebrate pirates. It was a twofold. Giving us, the Cayman Islands, an opportunity to show who we are, our culture, our food, into a slow season. But it had to be packaged in a way that we would get first-time people drawn to our island. Yeah. And then you got those that are saying, others could pretty much argue that they're a part of Cayman's history, whether or not you want to believe that or not, and that the theme is just a fun way to draw persons to our shore. The real celebration about Cayman identity and not piracy as we see it because of its name. But the reality check is, to be honest, this festival, and you're going to hear me repeating that, was never, ever intended to honor pirates. You got to be able to package it in a way that it's appealing to help our persons in the tourism and hospitality industry, but yet still be able in a respectful manner to honor Caymanian culture and attract and share our culture with tourists as well. And the pirate branding was simply a marketing tool. And we saw where it worked. You look at the tail of our plane. It pretty much has a peg-leg parrot with a thing over his eye. What are you going to do? Change that too? Yeah. I don't want us to take away from exactly what it meant because of a name. And when you look at the national responsibility of this national week-long festivities, if Pirates Week fades, it's not just government's fault. I said it here earlier this week. It's on all of us Caymanians. This is a national event, and keeping it alive requires participation and pride and promotion. And even though the younger generations, there are certain elements that they will probably never understand because it looks as though it's continually diluted or fading, or it's like we're all over the place with it. But many younger Caymanians enjoy the entertainment sides, but may not fully understand the true origin of Pirates Week. And without that education, the deeper meaning of culture, heritage, and national pride risks fading. But the sobering truth is really culture isn't lost, but it is fading through when you have divisiveness, lack of information, or even weak national pride being displayed. And Pirates Week is really a reminder of that Caymanian culture. And it must be embraced by Caymanians ourselves if it is to survive. We can't blame one soul about that. We can't. So when you look back that our governments back then had the care and concern of everyone in the industry to bring and attract persons, and the name remains today. And we still see, if you go out, how much tourists just land on our shores for this celebration. They're eager to go and engage and interact with all of the locals. I don't want us to take away from the word pirates or lose our very soul because of the word pirate. Look at what we're doing, showcasing our talents, our skills. I see all of our people out there, Miss Lois, so she was out there with all of her beautiful thatch work and all that sort of stuff. We see so much of our artisans were out there, and but there's something lacking, and you could hear the murmurs. You could hear the murmurs that, no, we got to do something with this. We got to stop talking and we got to start supporting it. We got to start supporting it. And I feel that whatever assistance these district committees are getting from the government, everyone should then be held responsible to participate and deliver a district heritage day at the same level, because it is us. It is our Caymanian pride. It is our stamp. This is by no means criticizing anyone, and kudos to everyone who becomes a part of it. But just sitting down and blasting a name of a national week celebration and you don't know the history and how it was derived from facts, don't lose who we are as a culture because of the word pirate, because that was never the intention. Tartarian, fish, orange, wide eyes, hello, whatever that is. The real Michelle, but pirates is exactly what my bankers are. Sadly, it's true. Pirate Nation is how my buttery bank represent. Okay, thank you for your opinion. Didn't the pirates hide from the British in the Brack? I don't know about that. I have no clue. I heard something today where, oh my God, did I dream that? Where at one point, I think it was Sandra had pulled up something, yes, on her show, that at one point, Cayman Brack had no inhabitants that was just there. And she'd shared, go back to her show this morning. I think she was sharing some key information. That's going to be interesting. See ya. There is nothing wrong with the name Pirates Week. It's only a handful of the same people that is complaining about the name. Well, see ya. Let me tell you something. I don't want us to lose it, because I could be honest with you. If funding is the problem, if stakeholders, I don't like use that word now since yesterday. We are the stakeholders. Every one of us here is the stakeholders. But if government really is a part of the funding for it, public-private partnership is going to be needed. But in order for it to be successful, we need every Caymanian out there to support. Even though I ended the show, went over a little bit yesterday, I wanted to end early to go out there to support Georgetown Heritage Day. I got beat up because I told them I wasn't coming to East End. I might actually just drive up there, to be honest. But I had to go for my district. And just sitting there and engaging with people, seeing kids, people that I haven't seen in a little while. Got my style lobster too. Oh yeah. Had rock buns too. But it was good. I met people in Georgetown. I was speaking to Alfred, who's right there in that old Caymanian house. We were just laughing and talking. The fireworks were beautiful. And you know what was interesting? People started to come out when they heard the fireworks. They were expecting a band, like what we're used to. They expected the festivities to come on. I saw people came out after fireworks, expecting First Street Dance. It didn't happen. Vendors out there had to go home and cook a second batch of food because people then were still lined up. And I was out there from midday trying to get lunch. And I left to come back and deliver the show. And I went back and I got fresh food. So it's not that their appetite is not there, but we're losing our way. We're losing our way. And I think we're missing the forest for the trees. And I don't want us to dwell on the word pirates, because just interacting and engaging the way I did in my way, I realize, and no, for true, I kind of shy. But I'm not going to be the one to just walk around, hey, how you doing? Everybody knows that I'm there. I get where I'm comfortable with the crowds that I'm comfortable with, and I will try to give you eye contact. I will wave you and stuff, but don't expect me to be all up in your face. No, that's just not me. But I will laugh, I will dance, I will shake a leg right now. But it hurt my heart last night that it wasn't better supported. And I think we need, this is constructive feedback, constructive criticism, and I'm not going to participate in anyone tearing down the event. I just feel that we need to take a restock. We need to start fundraising from January, trying to reach out to more corporate citizens, reintroduce the t-shirt, reintroduce the banks getting involved and decorating and just do it. If we don't do it, let me tell you something, somebody else going to do it and they're going to celebrate it their way. And then you're going to lose that Caymanian style. We're going to. Shaka Zulu, ignorance. Pirates Week is not about promoting pirates, much like how Halloween is not about celebrating monsters and Jonkanoo celebrating ghosts. You're quite right, Shaka Zulu. I love to decorate. I love to have the little kids over for candies and that sort of stuff and just have fun. I'm not worshiping the devil. No, I'm not. But yeah, so thank you for that contribution. Smith Campbell, preach, Sabrina. But as it is today, what was once the hook has now become focus because we've named the whole thing after that same hook. I like that. I like that. But Smith Campbell, yeah, you're right. Hook. I think we're losing it. We're just losing it because we're focusing on just the word pirates. And we have to be able to package creative, something that will sell people to come here. And then our locals need to understand what that means. Because if we're selling a package for an entire week, that means every vendor, every district is displaying, is on showcase, is on display when it comes to our Heritage Day festivities. And this is why each district needs to be performing at the same level. And I love, like I said, the best food is from Georgetown. Miss Ruth, I give you kudos. Miss Ruth and Vernicia, kudos to you for the Cayman style lobster. This is not holding down anybody else. That's just me. Okay. I waited for her. And for the amount of people that was actually waiting on that woman to come back, oh my God, I chuckled. There was a lady who was expecting a baby and she wanted, I think the same thing I wanted, the Cayman style lobster. And to make sure that she secured her plate, The lady paid for her meal. And she went her way, and I guess she went around and she enjoyed whatever was left happening. And that woman got her plate. Now, we don't want that baby to be marked off with lobster, Cayman style lobster, right? But that is how the pent up demand. And there were locals that I was engaging with last night. It was a mix of locals and our own. And, you know, when I heard some of the vendors saying, you know, they can recall the governor coming out to these things, and you could hear a little disappointment. Now, not speaking on behalf, but they were a little disappointed that they didn't see the governor show. These were things that is tradition, that for during the week, you would see the governor come out to these festivities. Sometimes they would do like the maple dance, the quadrille dancers and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, these were, and I'm hearing my own talk about this, and you could just hear them talking about it, wishing it could be replicated. That can be replicated, but it takes every one of us. See ya. I never heard any new people complaining about the name Pirates Week. Only the same 13 people all the time complaining. Live happy. Most of the highlights is to focus on pirates. That's why. We want to see a Caymanian costume on adverts, not pirates. Okay, well, that's a delicate balance. Live happy. Again, these are constructive and sound feedback as well that we can actually feed to the Ministry of Culture so that they can do that. Shaka Zulu. This reminds me of how the foreigners tried to change Cayman's heritage turtle dishes. Now they are trying to go at Pirates Week. Wake up, Cayman. Support your local heritage, Caymanians. Don't be fooled. But I can be honest with you, I'm not hearing, the name thing is really coming a lot from our local Shaka Zulu. I've heard that a number of times. And I think with the education, I think more and more education and more of us being very boastful of our civic pride and our national pride and our culture, that we can actually meet a happy medium. And but yeah, out there last night, I was happy that I still went out. I was happy, and we stayed there until I think AI, the guys, kudos to those hardworking guys at AI. I saw them working, breaking down the tents and picking up all the tables and chairs. I know for this entire week, kudos to you guys. There was a DJ as well. And that was another thing. They expected, persons were saying, why didn't we have like Swanky out here? Guys, the Pirates Week committee is not responsible for putting on the district days. Each district has a Pirates Week district committee. It is up for that committee in order to produce the district heritage days, okay? Government, I have been reliably informed, gave $8,000 to each district committee to assist in the float and to assist with the, I guess, the Heritage Day festivities. But it's really up to those district committees to deliver. Okay? Now they have persons that are walking around, taking information, making sure everything is okay, like the tents and some tables and chairs. The government, in addition to the $8,000, the government also assists with that. Now, Georgetown doesn't necessarily have like a heritage park, like how Bodentown has Miss Joseph's Center and all that sort of stuff. Georgetown was always at a disadvantage. Remember, the landing is there, the kickoff, the ending is there. But still, Georgetown has a lot of historic sites. They have a lot of artifacts and stuff to be showcased and display. The peppermint candy making and all that sort of stuff that we are accustomed to seeing. I know that that didn't happen because, again, tradition, we're seeing it not being passed on, or those persons are leaving us and it's not continued. So pretty much a lot of people were focused on the local cuisine. We had that being done. And then some of the schools were then expected, or again, to be able to come out and participate to show our heritage, be it they dress in their native costumes and put on maybe a couple of songs or stuff, whatever. And then as you gradually go into the night, that's when you center it then to maybe a little bit more adult entertainment. People were expecting, again, if there's a fresh batch of food, art's supposed to still be on display, the big fireworks, and maybe a live band or some good music, and people just participating. That does not happen at the same level in all districts. The district committees as well were also tasked with adding other elements that would also pull a crowd, or like advertising for Georgetown District Day. It's not the government or Pirates Week Committee nationally will help promote, just to say exactly, they will do a schedule of events and that sort of stuff. If the committee members feed the information into the National Pirates Week office of what events are going to happen, they will assist them in pushing it out there. But if they're strapped for volunteers or persons to really be active and show up on these days to make these districts a success, then maybe we'll be singing a different tune. But Cayman, I want to implore us to not let this fade. Please don't let it fade. Because right now we're debating the budget, we're seeing all of these fees, and then we're fighting for our own culture as well. So really and truly, if this national festival dies, it won't be just the government's fault. It will be on all of us. I'm telling you that. Every one of us. Because in my honest opinion and humble opinion, it doesn't disappear. You know, our culture doesn't disappear. It doesn't disappear when outsiders take it. It fades when insiders stop embracing it. And you know who the insiders are? Me and you. So yeah, you may say, oh, well, she likes to party. She likes to go out. I am on a different level when it comes to Pirates Week because I understand the true meaning of it. I understand the true meaning. And that's why I felt it was important for me to share this with you. And I have to ask our young people, do they even understand why it started in the first place? Maybe this is something that our Minister of Education can also be in part of our Caymanian culture or whatever you want to name it. Again, it's going to take both education and possibly tourism if we're going to change the word pirate or kind of take the primary focus off of pirates, if that's what we end up with. But this is a national discussion. It is a national event. The biggest shocker that I got in some of the conversations, there was a possibility that it wouldn't even have been a Pirates Week. Like there wouldn't have been anything. I literally pulled the chair. I said, well, repeat that again. And that's why I felt it was important for me to bring this up this evening. Guys, we cannot afford to lose this. We can't. We can't. If we have to readjust how we package it now in 2025, 2026, get all age groups around the table. Let's hear from our young men. Let's hear from our future what they would love to see. Because I can assure you, me at 51, somebody else at 71, somebody else at 31, 21, 18, sees it totally different. But they all need to be around the table. I even had a parent come up to me reminiscing about when they used to participate. And you could hear the pain in their voice, where they wish that you could have more children participating in the float parades, like get more involvement with the kids in Pirates Week celebration. And I have to call it what a week is called. Okay? I have to call it. But yeah, that's what I love with going out and mingling, to be honest with you. And I just felt it was important for me to share this with you. So it's 6:57. I'm definitely going to kick off the weekend and close up Pirates Week with a bang. But as I close tonight, I want to leave with you my thoughts. And thank you to everyone who has stuck with me all week. And even though this was a lot of open mic segments and a lot of sobering talk, I got some homework to do based on what was delivered on the floor in Finance Committee today. And I'm quite sure there will be a lot more headlines on this, how it's going to impact. I respect and I welcome your feedback as we navigate this. But, you know, because I came off of Pirates Week, let me reiterate that for those of you who may be late to class. It did not come about to glorify pirates. It was about us Caymanians, our culture, our food, our music, our traditions, and keeping about our economy alive during the slow season. And the pirate theme was just the hook. Yes, it was just the hook. The heartbeat was always us. Us, the Caymanians. That was the heartbeat of this national event. But here's the sobering truth. If this national festival fades, it won't be the government fault. It'll be every one of us. Too often we get caught up in the criticism of the name. And you guys have agreed with me here. And we argue about whether we should call it Pirates Week or something else. But the name is not the point. And that's what I'm hammering home here today. The point is participation. The point is showing up. The point is supporting, passing on the story to our children and grandchildren so that they understand why this event begun in the first place. So if you're a young person and see Pirates Week only as entertainment without knowing the roots in survival and pride, that we've failed to tell the story, the true story. And without the story, pride fades. And silence and disengagement, as you will hear me and Dana talking about all the time. Now that's what truly kills culture. Because if we don't speak up with pride, others will speak up for us and claim it as their own. So tonight, I challenge each and every one of you, stop focusing on the word pirates and start focusing on responsibility of Caymanians to keep our culture alive. Because true Caymanian pride isn't about a name. It is about showing up and supporting and embracing our heritage. And if we don't, we risk watching it slip away. And I saw a glimpse of that last night. And that, my friends, is something no Caymanian should ever allow. Okay? So, there we go. War's happening today. Young people are not going to embrace it. Let me get some of these. We have the fraudsters walk the plank but corrupt on show. That's what I like to see at Pirates Week. Tartarian. With so many real wars happening in the world today, the young people are not going to embrace it. Okay. Rosie, my God, last and finish. I never catch it. Oh, that's okay, Miss Rose. You can always pull back. Good to see you anyhow. Happy weekend to you. Campbell Smith, people around the world are attracted to these islands from around the world, not because of any particular name or imagery is associated with this festival, but because of what the people of these islands have. Yeah, I agree with you. See ya. And maybe they need to make the bars cheaper. You trouble, you know. Real Michelle, thank you for another thought-provoking and informative show. You're more than welcome, my love. Thank you for keeping my company. Cultivated here. That's Smith Campbell. See ya. Every Calypso song is about rum, wine, and grind. And I'm going to listen to some soca right here now and shake a leg and pay for it tomorrow. That's how Pirates Week Carnival should be celebrated. I totally agree with you. Barbara G, good evening. Sorry I went to East End. Good for you. Pirates Week. So sorry, nothing to report. Nothing was happening except food. Oh Lord. You see what I'm talking about? You see? And see what I'm talking. Oh God. Look here, Miss Barb. Thank you for reporting that. But if you actually scroll back, you will see the last 20 minutes, maybe. I was talking about what we got to do. But thank you for reporting that back. So I know where I'm going to go. Yeah. And I hope and I want to wish you all a very good weekend. Please be safe on the road, be responsible. And if you're going to drive, don't drink. Call a friend. So as we lead into the festive season, as we enter this weekend, again, thank you for being here with me. Thank you for continuing to support me and put up with me as we continue to educate, inform, and inspire each other and cohabitate in this island we call home, that I am proud to call home. It has been a pleasure bringing you another episode of Sabrina Speaks. Happy Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Mwah. Love you lots. See you on Monday.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.